Austrian authorities now say that the teenager behind the planned terror attacks that forced the cancellation of 3 Taylor Swift concerts in Vienna confessed that he intended to kill himself and as many people as possible with knives and explosive devices. Investigators found manuals and materials for bomb building in his home, along with knives and machetes. They say he had been radicalized by ISIS and al-Qaeda propaganda. The second suspect also arrested. A third is being questioned, and all of them are teenagers. The cancellations are a devastating blow for Swift fans.
The women in my family have been planning this trip for over a year.
We were all just really sad. I guess it's good and that, like, we're safe, but also really scary.
Frank Figliuzzi is the former assistant director for counterintelligence at the FBI, and NBC's Tom Winter is following this story closely for us. So, Tom, I understand that the U.S. intelligence played a role in foiling this plot. What can you tell us?
Right. The Austrians talked about it in their briefings, which occurred overnight, our time, but in their morning, their time. And they talked about how a foreign government helped them. And it's our reporting, based on a number of officials we've spoken to in this country and abroad, that the U.S. intelligence community had a general sense of what might be going on over there. And what typically happens is that's developed in the intelligence community here, and then U.S. law enforcement makes a law enforcement to law enforcement referral. And in this case, talked to the Austrians and said, hey, you have a bit of a problem that might be brewing. This is generally what's going on, and you should look into it. The Austrians, to their credit, to the U.S.'s credit, of course, who's had some successes we saw with the warning prior to the Crocus Hall attack in Moscow. The U.S. is a bit on a roll right now as far as at least having some sense that something's going to go on. The Austrians took the ball and ran with it and conducted an investigation and surveillance that identified these individuals that you were just referring to, conducted this investigation. Follow-up search warrants, and now an apparent and alleged confession by the person you're looking at on screen. This is the 19-year-old who was arrested in Lower Austria with those knives, with the bomb-making materials, and with, we are told, distinct intent to attack a Taylor Swift concert this weekend in Vienna.
You know, Frank, the young people being radicalized, the youngest, I think, was 15. All of them, as I said, teenagers, was a major issue, at least since the Obama administration back when ISIS, I guess you would say, was at its height. What does this radicalization tell us, and how much should it worry us?
Indeed, we're seeing a trend to younger and younger people being radicalized faster and faster. In fact, when I retired from the Bureau, we were seeing what we call speed to radicalization drop to something like 2 months. 2 months between the time you're first exposed online to a violent ideology and then the time that you're willing to act out and operate or execute. So you see the ages getting younger. You see the deliberate use of recruitment on TikTok as a platform. That's a strategy to get these folks younger and younger. They're vulnerable. They're seeking some sense of meaning and belonging in their life. And then, you know, the other takeaways here, Chris, are that beyond this event is that ISIS-K particularly remains hell-bent on attacking concert venues. We've seen it happen before. That needs to factor into all security planning.
So let me ask you about that specifically, Frank, because hundreds of thousands of people are going to attend Taylor Swift's upcoming concerts, and they are going to go from city to city, country to country, including Canada and the United States. So how does what we are just seeing now change the planning there, and how well prepared are we for these concert venues and big gatherings?
Yeah, it's not going away. And in fact, Taylor Swift represents a kind of iconic American celebrity that even if you execute a very small scale attack is going to reach global media attention. And that's what's going on here. So law enforcement needs to factor that terrorism threat in, as they have not necessarily been doing to a routine concert. What does that mean? It means pushing the security perimeter farther and farther out. It means truly vetting people who are coming, undercover officers in the crowd, lots of magnetometer use, and then shared intelligence. So the last takeaway I'd suggest here is we have some encouraging news. We were all concerned when the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan Afghanistan, that we'd lose a capability to collect intel, particularly against ISIS. And now we're hearing, as Tom said, that the U.S. shared this intelligence with the Austrians, as, by the way, they did similarly with the Russians in the Moscow concert venue attack. So we've still got this capability, but we got to get it right every time. The bad guys can only have to get it right once.
And if it's going to take Taylor Swift fans longer to get into a concert venue, I feel confident in saying they will wait to make sure everything's good. Frank Figliuzzi, Tom Winter, thank you both.